Thank you, Gwen. If you can buy enough technology and form enough agile teams to implement it, you can actually achieve digital transformation very quickly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Not really, is it? It is not about the tech, and the tech is not a silver bullet to what you're trying to achieve with transformation. Digital transformation is about how we can run our organizations in an efficient manner so that we can achieve our business goals and objectives. The old saying about not just doing things right, but doing the right things. Now, when you put statements like that on a slide, it's actually quite important to clarify what you mean and what you're trying to say. Otherwise, they're just becoming nice marketing statements on a financial brochure. So when we're striving for transformation, when we adopt new ways of working, such as agile, it is really important to try to understand what problem are we trying to solve. What are the obstacles that we're trying to overcome, and where do these obstacles actually reside? So ask yourselves the right questions. Is that transformation linked to strategy? Do we have the right culture? Do we have processes to actually make this happen? Why are these questions very important? Because transformation and agility cannot actually come from just one department, under the Chief Digital Officer or Digital or Innovation Officer or Group Technology. You really need every single employee in the organization to have that mindset, the mindset of challenging the status quo. Challenging, this is the way we've done things so far. And you want to make sure that you have this across all seniorities. Leadership all the way to the team level. If you don't achieve that, any new idea, innovative or not, that comes only from one department or one area in your organization is basically going to be deemed as a threat because you're threatening people's jobs. Which is quite interesting to see that usually when I speak to conferences and the topic is around digital transformation and innovation and insurtech and fintech or agility, 90% of the room is filled with digital officers, innovation officers, agile teams. And my question is, where is risk? How many CROs do we have in here today? Where is compliance and the 3 lines of defense? Where is finance and accounting? Marina already asked the question about sales. Where is marketing? As if the transformation will only come from one department under the digital officer. Let's please be very mindful. You can actually throw as much technology as you want in your firm. But our firms are run by people. Graham said it as well. There's no such thing as an organization, it's a collection of people. So when you try to actually bring that mindset, that efficiency mindset, let's also not forget that efficiency is a mindset, it is not a tool. And because we're dealing with people, because we're dealing with human behavior, let's also remember that people manage their careers, they do not manage their jobs. If we were managing our job, we would go back, look at the strategy, look at the business objectives, and find out and figure out what we need to do. But we don't do that. What do? We focus, naturally, on our KPIs, because this is what will make our bonus. And our KPIs, or any incentivization scheme that we know, Ivan also said that at the beginning, is around the numbers, not about our clients. And I'm pretty sure that all your strategies out there across organizations talk about clients, not profits. And because our organizations are so big, with so many departments, different teams, and of course, yes, customized KPIs and incentivization schemes, but everything is focused on the silo mentality that you all know. So it's actually quite difficult to operate under the same objective. Now, Ivan mentioned again about the military and the army, that they have accountability. They also have something else. They all work under the same objective, by and large. So think about any military operation. They all have the same goal. We're either invading a territory, or we're protecting a territory, or we get the flag. If you lose your general, if you lose your team commanders, of course it will be more difficult to achieve the goal, But every single remaining soldier is actually working against whatever the objective was. And this is not happening in our organization. And that's why we really need to go back and understand, are we linked to strategy, processes, culture? So let's make that now a little bit more practical. I work largely with banks and insurance companies. And I'm going to take you through a deep dive analysis that we did in a couple of portfolios. All of these portfolios had the name of digital portfolios, agile, fast lane, innovative. Think of any other buzzword you want. The problem statement was always the same. We do not realize the benefits of these innovations or these executions or these implementations. Now, I know quite well that this is not the problem. This is the symptom. Your problems for that lie somewhere else. So let's look at quickly in a simplified view of the process. You start with a pool of ideas, whether they were generated internally or externally, you prioritize them, you put them into the next phase, which is pre-execution, pre-implementation, preparation phase, business case strengthening. The name varies. Then you move into implementation. And this is where we see most of the agile teams actually working together to try to put them together. And then, of course, rollout execution and benefits tracking, but you cannot see the benefits. So we started actually with the business cases at the very beginning. Let's see what business cases go through that pipeline. And we looked at business cases across 2 financial years. Now, the first financial year, the mandate from the CEO was, we're going for revenue uplift and growth. All the business cases, because they had to go through that pipeline, were somehow linked to revenue uplift. Some of them magically so, because if you read the business case, it was around internal efficiencies, absolutely necessary, but somehow they were relating to NII and NIR uplift. No levers behind it, no way how to track it, but of course they were passing the mark and they were going through. After financial results, the next year was around cost management, cost reduction, a bit of austerity measures. So now the CEO was like, okay, we cannot stop the innovation portfolio, but that means that every project needs to finish on time and on budget. So what did we see in the portfolio? And it was quite clear that a lot of the cases, if not most of them, they were actually less complex, some of them less ambitious. Why? Because less complex projects have more opportunity to finish on time and on budget. Another thing that we saw is that a couple of departments having actually tagged 3 to 5 projects, and they were still fairly heavy projects. So when we actually went close and interrogated and interviewed the guys, are you going to be implementing all of these? And especially looking at the start dates. What it came out is, no, not really. But given the environment that we are, we need the budget. So they were becoming budget holders. And you know that culture exists. Now, by the way, in the implementation stage, some poor oak there tries to do capacity management, because the moment you book this project, someone is trying to plan teams and skills. So the learning out of all of that, the first phase, is that we actually choosing projects and we put them into the pipeline, not linked to the strategic objectives, but short-term KPIs. So moving into the second step, you're already starting with potentially on the wrong foot, with the wrong cases, some of them. Now, this step is supposed to be something quick. Support the business case. Make sure that we can actually do it. What practically that step is in a large organization is a very, very big and very heavy bureaucratic phase. You need 150 different signatures across all the chief officers, potentially the regulator, if it's a market-related product. And now this phase is becoming anything between 3 months, 6, all the way to 9 months, or even a year. So already you're starting delayed, because there's no ways you can be planning for 9 years for a project that might only need 6. Your technology might be irrelevant, the solution might be irrelevant. The problem with that list of signatures and the massive stack of technical documentation is that nobody had actually the mandate to stop this project from happening. There were some people that were opposing, we're late now, we shouldn't be going ahead, and guess what the answer is? You have 150 different signatures. Who are you to stop this project? Plus, you know very well the culture of, we've already spent money and invested in that business case for so many months, there is no way that anybody will be praised in the organization to say, thank you for not spending more and actually having a loss stop. It's exactly the opposite. So you have to take it through, even if it's something you know that the organization will never use. So the real finding, and that's a real number, is that from all the cases in the pre-execution or preparation phase, 100% of them went into implementation. Not 99, all of them. So you're landing in your execution space already with massive delays, with no real tools to actually manage capacity, what's landed, what is there as a budget holder. Dates are moving. At any given point, a large organization runs anything from 150 to 200 projects concurrently, and then we blame our agile teams about things not happening. And of course, you're going to the end. Sure, what benefits are you trying to track? Did we link any of these business cases into actually levers? And the problem with all of that is, Anton, you raised the question, is not just that leadership is actually observing that. The rest of the organization around you is just observant because they're all doing things around their own KPIs in their own silos. So when at the very end someone is being pushed, show me the benefits, of course, then we just put an effort to show what's the customer value proposition, how do we sell it and get money out of it so that we can actually show benefits. And the natural question is, shouldn't we be starting with that? We said the whole transformation journey is about our business objectives. And I'm pretty sure, again, that every company strategy talks about clients. But we're trying to push things because sometimes they just sound nice. They are innovative, but it's very easy these days to fall in love with solutions and then try to find problems to apply them to. You know some of these solutions, and I'm not against them. Great. But remember also my very first question. What are we trying to solve for? And if you're looking for transformation, then just single digital solutions, no matter how innovative or great they are they really solving any of the other problems? So coming back to culture, processes, human behavior. So just to close it off very quickly, it is not about the tech. It is about changing your foundations. Technology is the easy part these days. You can go and buy the Eurostar. It runs with 300 kilometers an hour. If your trucks can only support 60, this is how fast as you're going to go. And at this point, I'm going to invite Nalen from Liberty. So Liberty has done some exciting developments in the innovation and digitalization space, but what Nalen is going to take us through is the learnings from this journey, and especially how they actually tackle the 3 questions that we discussed above. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Dimitri. Dion, can you play the video, please? Good morning, everyone. For those of you who are not aware, that's Atlas. Atlas is a robot designed by Boston Dynamics, funded by the US Department of Defense's research program, DARPA. Now, Atlas was first released to the world in 2013. This video was shot in September 2019, just a few months ago. So you can see the development that's happened since then. Each time I watch this video, now there are a bunch of these Boston Dynamics videos. There's actually a few robots within the Boston Dynamics stable, so it's quite interesting to Google that if you get some time. But each time I watch this video, I get two very strong feelings. One is just of ultimate shock that we can actually do this and we've come so far. But the other one is a little bit of fear. On the one hand, it's a bit of a primal fear, knowing who's funding this project. I can imagine Atlas doing that with a weapon in his hand one day. But on a more practical level, a business-related fear. Am I doing enough to generate Atlas-like thinking in myself and in my organization. To quote George Westerman from MIT, when digital transformation is done right, it's like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. But when done wrong, all you have is a really fast caterpillar. Now, digital transformation is the end of agility, business agility. This is what we're trying to drive here. Customer expectations are changing at such a rapid pace. Customers' expectations are, and someone mentioned it earlier, being based on their experiences in more digitally native industries. So, of course, we need to think differently. We need to have a different mindset. Business agility or an agile business is at the heart of that. Everyone in this room probably knows that already. Businesses that are unable to transform from a digital perspective or an agile perspective are ripe for disruption. Now, I'm not going to be talking to you in the way of using agile jargon or anything like that. I'm going to give you my perspectives from running or from driving enterprise agility in my role at Liberty for the last few years. And my perspectives are going to be laced quite thickly by my somewhat surprise, wondering how in the world I actually worked prior to adopting this sort of mindset. Dimitri posed the questions, and I'm going to give you some perspectives from Liberty, as I said. Innovation that we're all dealing with or trying to drive is really all about knowing what a good idea is, making it a great idea, and then making it a real thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So to start with, on the first question, on is digital transformation woven into strategy? I'd like to quote Arno Denker, who's the CFO at Standard Bank. He was recently nominated or recognized by MIT Sloan as a digitally savvy leader. Arno says, a new age CFO takes on the traditional roles, but also focuses on the business impact of technology and disruption. Every business leader, including the CFO, must be fully aware of how technology can change the market and disrupt business models. Being digitally savvy means challenging business assumptions, predicting and influencing the financial impact of business and technological decisions, and understanding the roadmap and prioritized investments required to become future-ready. Buy-in right at the top of an organization, and that's end quote. Buy-in at the top of the organization is essential for this to work. On the question raised around business models, I work in an insurance company. Profit in an insurance company is all about how profits emerge from a block of business we've sold. But what about the new types of economies? Peter Diamandis has highlighted some of these new economies: the crowd economy, the data economy, the smartness economy, multiple worlds economy, the transformation economy, which is an evolution from the experience economy, by the way. All these new business models, the people in this room are the custodians of these business models. To what extent are we helping our organizations better understand how they can make money in this new world? In terms of scope, so when we say interwoven into strategy, are we just thinking business process? Are we thinking customer? Are we thinking a bit broader? Are we thinking about our distribution partners and advisors? Are we thinking about our employees as well? And what are we doing to help them change their mindset and become a little bit more collaborative? Could be something as simple as rolling out Office 365 in an organization. Now, as much as it sounds like quite hard work getting strategy or getting digital transformation interwoven into strategy, the prioritization framework that we use to make decisions is equally important. MIT proposes a grid of operational efficiency and customer experience. Liberty has then overlaid on top of that grid the Horizons model, Horizon 1, 2, and 3. What that grid, together with the Horizons model, does for us is allow us to prioritize what we focus on. I've had the good fortune of having various of Liberty's insurtech and fintech investments within my area over the last few years, and there's various things that we've taken to market using this grid to explicitly trade off decisions from a time horizon perspective and from a funding perspective. Now, so much work often goes into setting the strategy and prioritizing initiatives that one often forgets in what environment all this work is happening. A picture of Peter Drucker was on the slide a little bit earlier, and Peter Drucker said it best: culture eats strategy for breakfast. So when those good ideas are identified and when they are prioritized, in what environment are they landing in the organization? Are they landing in the no-but environment? Everyone here knows what the no-but environment is. It's great idea, no but. This is all the 10 reasons why it's impossible to do it or why we've tried it in the past. Or is it landing in an environment called the yes and environment, where people are listening to one another and building on good ideas and making them great? Are people open to constructive criticism? Are they open to feedback from all levels of the organization, as we've heard at the panel discussion? Are they willing to listen to their customers and their distribution partners? Failure culture is another point, and this was also discussed a little bit in the panel. To what extent are we willing to learn or create a culture in which people can learn from mistakes, this continuous learning culture? It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. For those of you who know, that's Charles Darwin. Now, when an English naturalist says this a few hundred years ago, that's profound. When I say stuff like what I've just said, it sounds like I'm completely naive, that I've literally just joined the workforce. But actually, it is possible to put practical changes into place on a daily basis and very small, easy wins. The easiest one is having a look at how your office is laid out. And cubicles, you may, offices with walls, maybe in most organizations a thing of the past, but it's not everywhere. Cubicles, how high are the walls in those cubicles? Open spaces, are people planning and demonstrating and visualizing their work on walls? Or are they sort of doing it on virtual tools that only a very handful of people get access to? Leadership meetings, are they held in closed rooms? Or are they held in front of the broader team, where each member is reporting back on their particular division or functional area in front of everybody else? So these changes are not easy to make, but it is possible to do, and definitely within all our grasp. Now, the last question that we posed was around process. Are there repeatable processes set up to turn any great ideas into something that's real? We often follow a question or a little logical thought process of saying, do you want to understand the customer? Do you want to understand them in a way that neutralizes cognitive biases? And do you want to understand them in a way that utilizes whatever Liberty has learned over its long 60-year history? If the answer is yes, then we have a process, a solution development approach that we have taken to our board and had embedded within our product teams. If the answer is no, we ask some tough questions about whether this is the right organization that you want to be in. The process that we've come up with is a combination of 3 models. It's the design thinking model, the lean startup model, and the agile delivery model. We've then come up with the who, what, and how of this. So who is involved at each step of the process, what do they actually need to produce to show that they are completing a particular step, and then how are they making decisions and building this into existing governance structures, so this is not happening outside the core organization. So my intention today was just to call out some of the tough calls made in answering some of these questions and what Liberty has done in trying to do that. The false summits in trying to answer these questions are quite significant. Often answering question 1 seems like most of the work is done, but actually question 2 and 3 is also important. Is it all worth it, though? Of course it is, for me. I mean, to quote Dr. Seuss, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So I was reading this to my 6-year-old last night, because this is the Lorax. So we need to make sure, we all in this room need to make sure that our organizations become the fun environments that we envisioned when we started these journeys, rather than a disaster area. Thank you.